thank you for watching. Today's video is going to be a get ready with me, and I am so excited because today is actually a really exciting day for me. So today that this video goes live, which is Friday, May 25th, is a release day for my 6th novel. If you guys have never heard me say it before, I am a published author. This is my 6th title that is now on sale today, and I'm really happy and really excited and really proud that this day is here. I do get asked a lot if I would make videos focusing on books or writing or something along those lines. I do include book favorites in my Makeup Monthly every single month, and I do chat fairly often, especially during the writing and publishing process, on other social media platforms such as Snapchat and Instagram stories, and I'm on Twitter all the time, of course. But I thought it would be really fun to do a get ready style video where I'm just doing my makeup but chatting about writing this book, what this book is about, how you can find it. And I also asked if anyone would have any questions for this video, and I did get some questions in, so I'm going to be answering some questions along the way as well. So that's kind of what today's video is going to be about. I'm so excited to do this video. I'm excited to chat about the 6th Kristy, which is my first series. I'm so excited to start a series. So yeah, if you want to get ready with me and hear a little bit about my author life, why don't we go ahead and get started. So I'm zoomed in, I got my ears on, so my curly hair is like, whoa. But for this get ready with me, I'm going to try to focus mostly on just talking and answering any questions that I am going to be about, like sharing what makeup products I'm using and how I'm applying them and all of that. Today's video is going to be all about chatting, but I will of course leave everything that I'm using linked in the description box. So like I said, this is my 6th book, which is really exciting. Here is the cover of Kristy, and this is my first series, which I'm very excited about. I've always wanted to write a series, so this is going to be a 6-part series, which is why it's called the 6th, and then just each book is going to be the girl's name. It's going to be the 6th Kristy, the second book is the 6th Scarlet, and so on and so forth. So I'm excited about this. I love how the cover came out. It is available for sale on Amazon, and it's available in both ebook and also paperback, or you can also buy paperbacks on my website, which is chicletplus.com. I will have everything, all the links and everything will be down below, of course. And if you want a signed paperback copy, that's where you can purchase them through my website. If you're not worried about it being signed or anything like that, you can also purchase the paperback through Amazon. I am going to try to get an audiobook made. Unfortunately, getting an audiobook made is not quite as easy as a lot of people think. I just got foundation all over my shirt, but that's okay, no big deal. To find a reliable narrator is incredibly difficult. Incredibly difficult. It's also extremely pricey, and I know a lot of people ask if I would narrate my own books, but you have to have really particular and expensive software to be able to do that. You really have to have like a soundproof room, which I do not have. It's actually very challenging to publish an audiobook, but I keep trying. I do have, I think it's 2 that are available now on Audible, also through Amazon as well. But I'm gonna do my face first. Obviously, I'm already doing my face first. I just feel like it's just gonna be more comfortable for me to do that. And then my eyes. I am gonna do some glitter and stuff today, but it's a look I've been doing lately that I really like, and I don't see too much with like fallout or stuff on my face, so I'm not too concerned. So like I said, I have 6 books out. I've always known that I've wanted to be a writer, always. I'm a huge fan of books. I'm a huge fan of reading. Always have been. I feel like there's a lot of books that have really influenced my life and even, you know, quite honestly changed my life, all for the better. And yeah, I've just always known since I was a little girl that I wanted to write books. I didn't go to school or anything for it. I went to a business college. Because I kind of thought being an author was, like, I always compared it to wanting to like make it in Hollywood and like be an actress. I had myself to go to business school, and if I still wanted to publish a book after I finished school, then I could do it. And I started writing my book while still in college and published shortly after. So yeah, it's just always been a goal of mine. I absolutely love it. I love being able to create that way. So when I realized that I really did want to like give writing a go, you know, I thought about like what my mom always says, it's not what you know, it's who you know, and I knew nobody in the book industry. I had no idea what to do or how to start. So it was a big reason why I decided to start my book blog, which is called Chicklet Plus. I started Chicklet Plus for a couple different reasons. You know, one, to be able to talk with like-minded people who really enjoyed books and were as passionate about them as I was, because I didn't have that a lot in my real life, and it would frustrate me because I would read a book that, you know, have left me feeling so many different ways, and I couldn't talk to anybody about it. And I was like, man, I just wish I had someone around me that I could talk to about these characters and how they made me feel. And I really had no idea, this was back in 2009, I had no idea that what starting a book blog would do. And I really feel like every step since then, I can put it all back on Chick Lit Plus and saying, like, you decided that you were really gonna go for it. And it's given me so many cool opportunities. I mean, I definitely credit it with the help of publishing books. I met so many people in the industry and people that were willing to help me out and help me get through the process of publishing a book. It's just been really incredible. And of course, from starting Chick Lit Plus, it wasn't just a book blog. If you're not familiar, Chick Lit is a book genre. It's similar to women's fiction, but it's kind of more lighthearted, a little bit more humorous, and it's what I consider The Six to be. It's going to be mostly a Chick Lit series, but I knew that I wanted to talk about more than just books on my blog, so that's where the plus came in. And when I first started, I would talk about celebrities and the workouts that I was doing, and I would review makeup products on there. Like, I just wanted whatever my passions were and things I was interested in, I wanted to put those all into my blog. So that's kind of where the name came from. Of course, you know, not only did it help me publish books, but I started, you know, freelance editing and proofreading for novels. I started to work really heavily in book marketing, which was so much fun, and I learned so much. But then just over time, I feel like it's really helped me get more into social media. You know, now with my YouTube channel, I mean, I feel like I've learned so much through Chick Lit Plus, and really having that platform really helped me when I decided to venture out into other social media platforms as well. So it was just such a cool thing, and I always recommend to anybody, if you know, if there's anything that you want to do, just start it and see what happens, because you never really know. I mean, I would not have guessed that starting a simple blog could have led me to being able to be a full-time dream chaser. That's what I call myself. I don't consider YouTube my full-time job. I don't consider being an author a full-time job. I consider all of it under one umbrella my full-time job, both books and beauty and everything that I do in all these different facets. I consider all of that to be full-time. So instead of, you know, putting myself into one category, I just say that I'm a full-time dream chaser. And you know, do I feel lucky? Yes, but I also know how hard I worked, especially in the beginning when I was, you know, in my young 20s. I would sit at home so often trying to learn about blogging, you know, reading my books, writing my book reviews, interviewing authors. I mean, the biggest thing was like trying to learn HTML and coding and stuff for the blogs. Like, I know how many times I didn't go out with friends, or I would miss an event or something because I was trying to work, because not only did I work 3 jobs at the time, I was also trying to have a successful blog. I was also trying to write a book. I was also trying to do all these freelance jobs on the side. I mean, my schedule was crazy for the longest time. So sometimes when people are like, oh, you're so lucky, this is what you get to do, I'm like, yes, but I worked my ass off to get here too. I mean, I worked hard, and I think there's a lot that goes into that too, and I never want to forget those parts, you know? I did ask for some questions, so I want to hop into some of these questions so I can get these answered. So this one is from Maria Miller from YouTube. She says, congrats on your book release. I'd love to know if you ever get stuck trying to come up with specific parts of a book and how you get over that. I'm always stuck at certain parts of a book. Usually the ending always it causes me a struggle, that final scene, how to end it. A lot of times the beginning of the book comes more naturally to me, but the ending is definitely very tough. But what I say, if you have writer's block, which I also deal with a ton, if you have writer's block, the easiest thing that I can say, or like the best piece of advice that I can say, is to keep writing. You know, maybe just don't write that scene. Skip over that scene for right now. Wait for that scene to come to you another time. Just keep writing something else, or just write something else. You know, I'm writing a series right now, so there's a lot of scenes that I'm writing for Scarlett's book, but at the same time that I'm writing Scarlett's book, scenes from the future books are popping into my head. So if I'm stuck on Scarlett, which I've already been stuck on Scarlett a bajillion times, I'll get stuck on something from her, I'll go into the third book and I'll start writing that. I think the biggest thing when you're stuck with writing is to keep writing, because if you're stuck and you stop, it's harder to get back into it because a lot of times you feel frustrated. But if you've continued to keep writing, eventually that scene will come to you. I forgot to say in the beginning that there will be a giveaway. I'll talk about that more towards the end of the video. I'm just like so excited and so all over the place, but I've always celebrated a book release with a giveaway. So I have a big old box full of prizes that I'll show you here at the end and how to enter into the giveaway, so stay tuned for that. But another question that came in, this was from Mary Madeup. She said, I really want to know what the publishing process is like. How do you find the publisher, or are you self-published? I am self-published. I've always been self-published. My publishing company is called Marching Inc. and it actually used to, I used to publish for other authors as well. And I stopped doing that, I think it was about 2 years ago now, mostly because the IRS is super fun and taxes were becoming kind of like a total and complete nightmare. We had so many books and authors from other countries and foreign titles and all of this, and it's got to be extremely, extremely overwhelming. But yes, I've always been self-published and it's what I've always wanted to do. Once self-publishing kind of came on the scene, I immediately was kind of like, that's what I want to do, because I've just always had that kind of entrepreneurial spirit. Like I said, I went to school for business, and a lot of my courses were in entrepreneurship and, you know, how to run your own business and all of that. So that's kind of always what I've been interested in. So when that started coming on to the scene, like, that would be perfect. Like, that's what I want to do. And especially when you're able to do something yourself, all of a sudden, like, anything becomes attainable to me. How I said that I didn't want to pursue writing in college because I thought the dream was too far. It was because you were having to count on other people to find you and to find your work, and you know all of that. It just, I just truly believed like that would never happen for me. And so once it was like, you can do this yourself, I guess I've always kind of had this attitude, not always, but for a long time I've kind of had this attitude of like, if I want it, I'll do it. I can do it. Like, I truly believe in myself in those kinds of ways. So I just knew that that's what I wanted to do. Self-publishing is definitely a challenging process, that's for sure. There's a lot of upfront money that goes into self-publishing, and a lot of times when you're a self-published author, you also don't get to like charge as much for your books. And so, I mean, the money is definitely not there. I don't write books because it's making me a millionaire and all of that. I write books because it's something I'm passionate about and something that I want to do. It's how I feel about writing, but I enjoy that I create my own schedule, that I write the books that I want to write, that I don't let anyone else have control over that voice. That's what I love. So this next question is from Emily Nunn on Snapchat. She said, I know this is a 6-part series and you have been releasing one novel a year, I believe. Does that mean you will only be writing this series for the next 5 to 6 years? Are you afraid of getting bored or burnt out with the characters or the storyline? So that's a great question. And yes, I have said in the past that I typically put out about 1 book a year, especially with just my schedule down, just how busy I am. It's very challenging. I left my job at the hospital a couple of years ago, and it was to focus on trying to write more books and have more time for it. And then I decided to start a YouTube channel, and then that keeps me very busy as well. But I do want to release, like, my goal for this is to release 2 books a year for this series, and the series is shorter than most of my normal books. I'm going to use this blush from Nars. Nars sent me their new Orgasm blush that I was just talking about in my last Billy Bat video, and I'm super excited to give this a try. But so the books are shorter than my regular books. My normal books are about 70 to 80,000 words. And this series is going to be more towards like the 50,000 word mark. So it might not seem like a huge decrease of words to some, but it makes the writing process quicker. And another good thing about writing a series that I didn't quite realize before I started writing a series was, like, when I was writing Kristy's book, I was also continually writing scenes for Scarlett's book, because something would happen in Kristy and it would, you know, like the next scene in Scarlett's book would come into my mind. So I'd stop writing Kristy and I would start to write Scarlett. And now the same thing is happening as I'm writing Scarlett's book. I'm now writing the 3rd book as well. So that helps it go quicker. You know, I already have a ton of words written for Scarlett, Now I just have to put all those scenes together and then write the rest of the scenes. So I really hope that the writing process will be quicker this time around and I can release more, because that's definitely, you know, that's a great point, is you don't want to get too burned out on your characters. And I just have so many other books that I want to write. So I want to get this series out as quickly as I can with it still being, you know, a good book and all of that. So hopefully we can do at least 2 a year, but it's interesting. I've been learning a lot taking on my first series, that's for sure. So this is from Elena on Instagram. She said, what inspired your book series? So I have always wanted to write a girlfriend series. I write a lot of friendship fiction, and female friendships just are super fascinating to me. I'm going to be using my brush set from Sigma and Angelica. Yay, I'm super excited about this. I'm also going to use the Colourpop and Kathleen Dream Street palette. I'm going to do an eye look that I've been really liking lately. It's like quick and easy, but it's a spotlight eye, which I think are quick and easy, but then I add a little bit of glitter and I feel like it just kind of like looks nice, but it's still really fast and really easy to do. So I think female friendships are super interesting. I mean, obviously I'm a female myself. I'm 31. I've had a lot of friendships throughout my life. You know, some I've had for many years. You know, some friendships have ended that have devastated me. But it's just a topic that I find to be interesting. And, you know, a lot of my books are on that, you know, especially A Questionable Friendship is about the dynamic between two particular girls. That book was an Amazon bestseller, and one of my favorite books that I have written. Defining Her touches on two females who didn't start as friends but started to form a friendship, and that is another one of my favorite books that I've written. It's just interesting for me to write and to have these characters come alive in my mind and to write their stories and see how they treat their friends and how they expect to be treated in their friendships. It's just something that interests me so much. So this question is from, looks like AngeMTA on Instagram. She said, so happy about your book release. I already pre-ordered, thank you so much. The question is, did you draw from your personal life to create characters, plots, etc. in your books? Definitely across some of my books, there's been bits of me in there. But I don't necessarily have like an autobiographical book or anything. My first book, Destined to Fail, has a lot of me in there, but not all of me. But I touch on some of the harder parts of my life. I've been through some bad moments in time, and one thing that I tell myself when I go through these moments is that it has to be for a reason, and my reason is to be able to write a story and maybe help other people who are going through that same thing. So I just kind of look back with the things that I've gone through in life that haven't been great, that, you know, have brought me down, and I put those into my stories. For Kristy, I'm really not like Kristy at all. Kristy's not me in the slightest. We're very different people. But in Kristy's book, there is a situation where there's a little girl in the book, and that little girl is me. Her name is May in the story. Kristy is an elementary school guidance counselor, and she has a student come into her office and talk to her about being abused, and that is my story. Of course, as I'm working on my eye makeup, I talk about this. Maybe times like these where it's okay that my camera overheats, because it gave me a little break to kind of prepare this part of the video, because it's kind of hard to talk about. But May's story really is mine. I was sexually abused as a child by a family member. I told a friend on the way to school as we were walking to school, and she told me to talk to our guidance counselor, and I did. That morning, the first thing I did was she walked me to the guidance counselor's office, and I told her what was going on, and she called the police, and she called in my mom and my stepdad, and I mean, my life was forever changed from that moment. It's weird because sometimes I feel like the more defining moment from all of that was me actually telling the story, me actually coming forward and saying this was going on, versus the actual act of being abused, because, you know, obviously my life had changed, but nobody else's life had changed from that point, you know? I don't know if that makes a ton of sense, but am I zoomed in enough? But, you know, once you actually come forward with something like that, you obviously you can't go back from that. And that's when everything had to change, and that's when my family went through a lot, was after that. So that's kind of what I consider to be the more defining moment that changed a lot of my life, and that really put into motion a lot of things that would happen. Not even just that year, but years down the road, things that happened in my life that you can look at it and say, you know, it happened in large part because of the abuse and because of what it did to our family. So because that, you know, moment in my life is so pivotal to me, I have always wanted to write that scene, but there's never been a book or a character that called for that scene. But, you know, with Kristy, I was able to make her the elementary school guidance counselor, and that's when I could finally write that scene. That was the longest scene it took me to write in that book, because I kept having to take breaks because I was too emotional to write it. And then also every time I read that scene, I am a mess. Every single time. And I have read that book obviously several times, looking for mistakes, making things flow, and every single time I get to that chapter, I get upset. And it's actually interesting, I've sent out some, you know, early reader copies like I do with all of my books, and I have gotten now several emails from people connecting with that scene on a personal level. And just being thanked for writing that scene. Like I said, when I go through hard things in life and I think that I can write about it, this is why. I don't really know exactly for sure where the series is gonna go. I'm not someone who plots a lot. I just start writing and the characters go from there. So I don't know what parts of my life and my friendships will get incorporated into the story along the way. We'll just have to see. So I did kind of like my spotlight eye, and then now I'm just gonna come over and I'm gonna put some glitter on top of it, and this is Urban Decay Grind. And again, I just feel like it's really fast and easy and it looks really nice. Okay, so another question is, this is from Domini on YouTube. She says, do you plot out the book before you start writing, or you just jump into scenes that are inspiring you? So like I said, I really don't plot. Like, I know my characters' names and what they look like and their occupations, and I know the point of the story that I'm trying to write, but all of the scenes, like, there's even like little actions that happen in the book, like little twists that I don't know are coming until I start writing. They just take over. She also says, do you have different people read it and proofread / suggest edits before you send it off to the official editing process? And I do. I let people like close to me read the story and offer me feedback, and then I also have what are called beta readers for each of my titles. And beta readers are just people that I know. It's typically people in the book industry, like other bloggers or things like that, other authors. They read the book early and they give me their feedback. It helps me out so much. I will always, always, always have beta readers because they, I believe, are just so important in the process. And then it's really nice to have them because even when I'm doing something like the cover design, you know, they are some of the first readers of the book, so I can send them the covers and be like, hey, does this make sense? Do you like this cover? Do you think this cover sucks? And they're just so helpful to have. So yes, I definitely have early people before I start, you know, really paying for outside services. Another question, this is from Rosio F. She says, what was the inspiration behind this newly released books? Also, are there any sneak peeks if you talk about makeup, skincare, beauty in the book? So I kind of gave the inspiration just really being interested in female friendships, and also just always wanting to write a series. And I found myself really enjoying other girlfriend series. Savannah Page is an author who I absolutely adore, and she also has a girlfriend series that I just loved so much and I found to be so fascinating. I'll go ahead and link her Amazon down below in case you'd be interested in it. The Babysitter's Club was a huge part of my childhood, a huge part. I loved the Babysitter's Club. I've read all of those books. I used to collect the books. Some of my early readers have also noticed that the main character's name in Kristy is Kristy Martin. That is definitely a play on Kristy is the first character in the Babysitter's Club series, the first book that was written, and the series is written by Anna Martin. Kristy Martin, that was kind of my homage to Anna Martin and to the Babysitters Club. My camera was overheating, so I did my brows and added some liner real quick as well. But her other question was any sneak peeks if you talk about makeup, skincare, beauty in the book. There is a little bit throughout there. Kristy is not a big makeup kind of gal, but we'll definitely see that with some future girls. But there is a little bit in there, and the giveaway that I said that I'll chat about in a few minutes here, I have a couple questions in there, and they kind of relate to those scenes in the book, either like what brand got mentioned in this chapter, you know, or what mascara is she using in this chapter. I wanted to do some bonus entries for people who are purchasing the book. But it would be funny to add in, you know, some of those scenes regarding like skincare brands that get mentioned and makeup products that get mentioned, things like that. So you'll see those in the giveaway. But I wanted to do something, and a lot of the prizes that are in the giveaway are beauty focused, because honestly, like, I get blown away by how much support I get from my books on the beauty side of things and on like this beauty channel and stuff. It honestly is like crazy to me. There's a little bit in there, but you know, Kristy doesn't wear false lashes, so again, Kristy and I are not a lot alike, but you'll see some from the future girls as well that go more into the beauty side of things. Okay, Jill from YouTube has a question. She says, how old were you when your first book was published, and how long did it take you to write it? I think I was like 24, I want to say, like 24, 25. When my first book published. I started writing it while I was in college, but it took years and years in editing. It was one of those things where I was super nervous, of course, to publish your first book, and you think everything's going to be wrong, and being self-published, there was a lot to learn and all of that. I'm not going to do lashes today. I haven't been doing lashes lately either because I've been busy and outside and all that, but I just recently started trying the Urban Decay Perversion mascara, and I quite like it, so I'm going to try it again today. But yeah, it took a lot of time in editing because my editor really wanted me to change a lot, and it was something that I learned too early on. Like how I said, I didn't want a publisher to like change the voice of my books. I definitely let my first editor change the voice of my books, like completely change the book. From the first Destined to Fail that I wrote to the Destined to Fail that was published, they are like night and day different books, and I'm actually like, I'm not pleased with how it ended up coming out. And I felt like because, you know, it was my first book and I was kind of like not knowing what I was doing, not that, I don't want to say like I was bullied into making the changes, but I felt like I was pressured into making the changes, I'll say. And I kind of wish that I hadn't, because I don't know, I don't know, I'm not totally thrilled with how that story came out, but it was a good lesson and I learned a lot from it, and you know what I want with the people that I'm working with. With all the changes that this editor kept asking for, I basically rewrote the book 3 times. So obviously that took a really long time. So again, that's something where I wish I hadn't have done that, because I could have published it sooner and just gotten on my way sooner. But again, it's a life lesson. That's all I can chalk it up to. How long did it take to write it? I mean, I'm gonna go ahead and say like 3 years. So that's crazy. Sorry, I'm squinting because I just put my mascara on. Okay, another question is from Kay Skelly on YouTube. She says, can you give advice on how to get the ideas from your head to paper? I've been wanting to write a kid's book for ages, but can't quite get it to gel. Thanks. So going back to kind of the advice that I gave earlier is just to start, like you just have to start writing. And if you get ideas in your head, put them into like the notes on your phone. I do that all the time. I have so many notes on my phone filled with scenes that pop into my head, or a particular wording that comes to my head, something like that. Keep a book by your nightstand. A lot of times I will get ideas when I'm just laying in bed thinking, because I'm not doing anything, like I'm not working, I'm not focusing on anything else, I'm just sitting there thinking, and scenes will pop in. So have a notebook, or again your phone, next to your bed so you can write them down. But always write down when you have scenes come to you. I think that's so important. Don't just say like, oh, I'll come back to it later, or when I'm finally sitting in front of my computer, I'll come back to it and write that scene. Write it down right then, and then, you know, make it gel when you get to your computer and put different scenes together. But just always be writing down when inspiration strikes. This question is from Diana Walter. She said, what do you do if you write something and feel it is good enough to publish? Always wonder how you even get your foot in the door. Once you write something and you're trying to decide what to do next, the first steps is really deciding if you want to self-publish or if you want to go a traditional route. Decide what it is you want to do and then really go for it. If you decide you want a traditional route, you know, you want to look up agents, you know, maybe find some of your favorite books and look to see in the acknowledgments who they think is their agent. Look up those agencies, learn how to query them, and go from there. If you want to self-publish, I mean, of course, there's a lot of Google searches that you can do to figure out how. There's a ton of different writer groups that you can join, you know, online too. A lot of different Facebook groups, so you can ask people questions like, okay, how do I get an ISBN? Can anybody recommend an editor in this group? And so on and so forth. That's what I did when I decided I wanted to self-publish. I asked question after question after question to anyone who would help me. I Googled a crap ton out of the questions that I wanted, and that kind of really helped me out. So I think once you have something and you want to go for it, you need to decide which route to take, and then it'll kind of help put the pieces into place as to what it is your next steps will be. Next question is from Janelle. She said, my questions would be, how'd you get published? Did you submit to companies? Are you self-published? What is the editing process like? And do you have an agent? So I kind of talked over, you know, self-publishing, why I decided to self-publish. So I don't have an agent, you know, I'm solely for myself. Highlight, I'm going to use a little bit of champagne pop because I feel like it's time to celebrate in here. And so what the editing process is like, I think it's just going to be different depending on who your editor is and what it is that you're looking for with editing. Like I said, my first editor basically wanted to, like, I felt like she just wanted to write the story herself. And, you know, I rewrote it over and over and over again to please her. And I truly don't feel like that should be the way it is. I feel like with an editor, they should just be doing their best to make your story the best. And I mean, that can be suggesting to delete entire scenes out of the book. This scene is not moving your story forward. This scene is not adding anything to your book. You don't want wasted words. You never want wasted words in your book. So if scenes aren't doing anything for the story, you can cut them out and get rid of them. They can add in suggestions. Hey, a scene should be added here, or, you know, this character, maybe we don't understand why she went from this point to this point. We need some filler scenes in there kind of showing that. You know, I feel like that's what they should be there for. If you're hiring an editor, make sure to basically interview them. You want to make sure that you're going to get along. Ask for samples of their work. Ask them to edit the first, you know, 10 pages of your novel so you can see their process and how they do it. And make sure that you're going to get along, because you're going to work with them a lot. So it's going to be awful if you don't get along or you don't like the way that they do it. So that's just a little bit about editing. I probably could make an entire video about that though. From Kira's The Best, she says, what is your favorite and least favorite part about writing and the publishing process? My favorite part is seeing it all come together. The first time that I read through the book at the end and see how it's all come together, I honestly sometimes have that feeling of like, I wrote that? Me? Like, it's such a cool feeling. Also, holding my physical book in my hands for the first time, I have never not cried when that's happened. That's a really cool feeling. My least favorite part is probably going through the editing and the proofreading process, and I think it's mostly just because it takes so long, and also that's the time where I have to rely on someone else and their schedule, and that can be really frustrating to me. My face is complete. I'm just going to finish off with my lip color. I'm going to use Urban Decay Naked. So it's tough to have your book in someone else's hands, because I just feel like no matter who it is, no one cares about your book as much as you do. No one cares about getting your book out as quickly as you do. And so just when you have to deal with someone else who, you know, even though you're paying them, they have other clients, they have a life, they have things come up, and things can get delayed and pushed back. And honestly, that's my least favorite part. And I got these little lip toppers from Jouer. This was in the package Babs Beauty sent to me. I'm gonna use a little bit of Saint-Tropez and just pop it on, just because I'm like really feeling like the glitter and champagne pop, and like, let's add a glittery little lip topper, shall we? And just see. Okay guys, so this is the look that I managed to come up with. Like I said, I'll leave everything that I used linked in the description box if there's anything that you're curious on. So I want to go over the giveaway just real quick, but again, you know, I've kind of been talking about Kristy throughout the story, but you know, this is the first in the series. We follow a group of girlfriends in Chicago. We follow 6 different girls. Really excited for you guys to get to know Kristy, to know all of these other characters. Scarlett's book is coming next, and I'm really excited. I'm really curious to see where Scarlett's journey takes us. I know, again, there's been a lot of early feedback from people saying, when is Scarlett coming? I have to know what happens in this book. And I'm like, I have to know what happens too, because I am super curious to see where her and her friendship situation is going to go. Like I said, I will have book links down below if you want the signed paperback copy on my website, if you want to pick up an ebook or a paperback from Amazon. That will all be listed down below. I want to say thank you guys. Thank you for asking me to do this video. Thank you for your support. I ran pre-orders on my website last week and we actually sold out of pre-orders. I went off of how many books were ordered last year and ordered even more of them, and we sold out of them in the weekend. So truly amazing, and it just makes me feel all kinds of ways. You know, I feel like I sound like the beauty blogger that did like a makeup collab and we're like, I can't believe it sold out so quickly. But truly, I really can't believe it. And thank you so much. But of course, this is not limited edition. The books are not going away. They will always be for sale. But I don't know how else to express my gratitude or how many times I can say thank you for supporting my passion over here. It means so freaking much to me. But one way that I do like to show my appreciation is to do giveaways. I do giveaways all the time. Sometimes I do giveaways that I announce. Sometimes I just slide into someone's DM and say, can I get your address? I'm gonna send you out a box of goodies. I love doing it. So I'm gonna just kind of briefly touch on the giveaway, a few of the prizes that will be in there, and how to enter. Okay, so I have a big old box here. Oh, it's very heavy. It has like makeup prizes in it and skincare, but then it also has some books in here and notebooks and things like that. So I'm not going to touch on everything because there's a lot in here, but I'll go over a few of the prizes. So I wanted to add in some books in here, so you'll be winning a handful of books from my collection, as well as a signed copy of my third book. This is A Questionable Friendship, the one that I said was an Amazon bestseller. So I'll be including a signed copy of that one in there. And then also I just picked up a notebook. I love notebooks. I'm obsessed with them. If you're someone who is an aspiring writer, here you go. Here's your notebook. Write down some of those scenes in there. I also have a bag full of Nude Sticks products that will be in there. I also have a bag of Pacifica skincare products. I have some Benefit Brow products to add in there. I have an e.l.f. so a chromatic eyeshadow palette in Posh Peacock. I have this is a Burberry eyeshadow, the new mascara that I love from Flower Beauty, the Lash Warrior mascara. This is a palette from NYX, the Smoky and Highlight palette, an Urban Decay lip gloss. I put in there one of the Pixie liquid lipsticks that I love. I have two products here from Milk Makeup, the Matcha toner, and then also the hydrating oil stick. I have a set in here from Winky Lux, a lipstick set in there from Winky Lux. I will also have some makeup brushes in here from Stilazzi. I've been testing out their brushes, so I went through and picked out a couple for the giveaway. Some Morphe products that will be in there. This is one of their new highlighters, and then also their 8H. It's their Sculpt and Shimmer palette. It has like contour, bronzer shades, and also highlights in there. And then I asked on my Snapchat and Instagram stories a prize that you would like to see, and actually a lot of people said the Beached eyeshadow palette. This is the new palette from Urban Decay, so I ran out to my Ulta and picked up this palette to include in the giveaway box. Again, there's a lot more in there: makeup, skincare, high-end, drugstore, all of that, but it would take so long to go through all of those products. So those are just some of the things that are in there, and then you can be surprised with what else is in there. There's gonna be one winner. It will be through a generator, just like all my other giveaways, so check the description box down below. There will be a link in there to fill out. It will be open for 1 month, and at the end of the month, the generator will choose a winner. There will be some bonus entries in there, like answering some questions that you would find inside of the story, sharing about the book being on sale. That's a huge help. I totally understand that not everybody can purchase the book, or you might not be interested in this book, in the genre, in the storyline. It might not be what you read, and that's totally understandable. I would not expect someone to buy a book that they don't actually want to read, but even sharing about the book being on sale, that helps me out so tremendously. So you don't only have to purchase the book to be entered into the giveaway. That's not it at all. Open for a full month. It will be open international, so it doesn't matter where you live. You can enter into this giveaway, and it's just a way that I wanted to say thank you. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for your excitement over this book and my past books. I appreciate it so much. Any other rules or information will of course be in the description box as well. But other than that, guys, I know this was a long video and I'm so sorry, but my goodness, I'm just glad we made it through. This is the look that I created in today's Get Ready With Me, kind of the pink glitter, kind of this pinky lip. I'm really feeling it. It's a pretty easy makeup step to do and one that I've just been really enjoying lately, and I've always liked the way that these looks have been coming out. Check the description box for all the makeup products that I've used and for links for the book. So thank you guys so much. I hope you have a wonderful Friday and a great weekend. I'm heading out to celebrate with some girlfriends and I cannot wait. But as always guys, if you did enjoy this video, I hope that you'll give it a thumbs up. I hope that you'll also consider subscribing before you go, and I'll catch you guys in my next video.